Hello and welcome to Benue Television News at 7. I am Susan Achin. The headlines: Governor Alia directs security agencies to ensure the safe release of kidnapped medical doctors. FG unveils solar project in FCT community. The internationals and Indian doctors on strike over rape and murder of colleague. Governor Hyacinth Alia directs security agencies in the state to intensify efforts and ensure the safe release of no fewer than 20 medical doctors that were abducted in the state. The governor's directive is contained in a press release Saturday by his chief press secretary, Teso Kula. He condemns in strong terms the abduction of the student doctors who are from the universities of Maiduguri and Jos. The students were Thursday evening ambushed and taken away by gunmen along Otukpo-Enugu Highway while on their way to the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students annual convention in Enugu State. The governor wants criminal elements operating within the state to find another base, as his administration will not rest on its oars to stamp out all forms of criminality in the state. Well, Governor Hyacinth Alia has described the late Toje Chira, His Royal Highness Chief Clement Ugandan, as a man who sacrificed for the work of God and development of the society. Governor Alia gave the description Saturday in Vandike local government area after inspecting ongoing work at the traditional ruler cemetery preparatory to the burial of the Toje Chira. Governor Alia, who opined that the late traditional ruler, as a man of wisdom and fear of God, touched his personal life and many others in very significant ways, saying his death has created a vacuum in their lives. The governor, who said his visit was to ensure that all arrangements were in place to ensure a successful burial, further said the deceased also lived an exemplary life and worked tirelessly to eliminate bad governance in Benue State. He noted that Chief Ugandan was one among those who ensured that he ventured into politics. Beg your pardon, we take a break and we will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back if you are just joining us. This is Benue Television News at 7. Well, moving on, Governor Hyacinth Thalia has described the late Toja Chira, His Royal Highness, Chief Clement Ugandan, as a man who sacrificed for the work of God and development of the society. Governor Alia gave the description Saturday in Vandikia local government area after inspecting ongoing work at the traditional rulers cemetery preparatory to the burial of the Toja Chira. Well, Governor Alia, who opined that the late traditional ruler was a man of wisdom and had the fear of God, touched his personal life and many others in very significant ways, saying his death has created a vacuum in their lives. The governor, who said his visit was to ensure that all arrangements were in place to ensure successful burial, further said the deceased also lived an exemplary life and worked tirelessly to eliminate bad governance in Benue State. He noted that Chief Ugandan was one among those who ensured that he ventured into politics, promising to do everything possible to give the Toja Chira a befitting burial. Meanwhile, caretaker chairman of Vandikia local government, who is the chairman Central Planning Committee for the burial, Mr. Dennis Guda, assured the governor and Tiv Area Traditional Council that everything would be put in place ahead of the burial. Correspondent Emmanuel Akula reports that burial of the late Toja Chira is slated for Wednesday, August 21, 2024. Meanwhile, the Benue State government is to develop 3,000 housing units as part of efforts to provide good shelter for internally displaced persons in the state. Governor Hyacinth Thalia announced this Thursday at Government House, Makudi, when he received a delegation from the United Nations. Well, according to the governor, the move is part of the state government's collaboration with the United Nations to ensure the well-being and eventual safe return of the internally displaced persons in the state. Correspondent Emmanuel Akula covered the event for Benue Television.
Since assumption of office in May 2023, the present administration in Benue State has continued to make deliberate moves to effect the safe return of displaced people in the state to their ancestral homes. In one of these moves, Governor Hyacinth Thalia is receiving this high-powered delegation comprising 2 assistant high commissioners of the United Nations and a German ambassador to Nigeria. The visitors are in the state to collaborate with government to identify areas of assistance to benefit the IDPs. Governor Alia, who pronounces donation of a 33-room building to the UN to serve as a central hub for their activities in Benue State, says the proposed 3,000 housing units will contain essential infrastructure and other utilities to create better living conditions for the IDPs. The governor seeks the support of the United Nations in building the capacity of some state agencies for effective coordination of humanitarian response towards achieving development goals. It reveals that his administration has directed the State Emergency Management Agency (SEMA) to upgrade facilities at health centers in Benue communities hosting IDPs and refugees, aside the establishment of a farm where food would be produced to feed them. According to his submission, over 5,000 IDPs have been captured for health insurance schemes.
I want to express my profound appreciation for the unwavering support the UNHCR bolstering our state efforts to protect and provide for these displaced persons. In the face of these challenges, our administration remains resolutely committed to the principles of the Global Compact on Refugees. I am pleased to allocate the old Ministry of Information complex along Barracks Road, a 33-room building for use as the UN's Red Roof in Makedi.
The UN delegation acknowledges the bad condition of the displaced citizens in the state and affirms their visit to collaborate with the state government for durable solutions. The UN team acknowledges the governor's attention to improve the living conditions of the IDPs in compliance with the international obligation, restating the international body's willingness to partner the state government to impact positively on the lives and stabilize the population.
It is a very commendable approach that Nigeria has taken to absorbing refugees here, and Benue State is very much an illustration of that, Excellency, because I understand that you have over 10,000 Cameroonian refugees in this state, that you have integrated them, that they even will be part of the social register and will in fact be part of the state-run investment programs as well.
There are 10,000, close to 10,000 Cameroonian refugees in your state. You've been very generous to them. You've been providing them with all the support that they require. And in a world where it's not obvious that you receive and provide support to people who are fleeing their home, it is important to underline that and really to thank you and commend you for what you have been doing.
German Ambassador to Nigeria, Annette Gunther, stresses the need for all stakeholders to join hands to address the challenge of IDPs.
The problem of IDPs is also one that particularly applies to your state, and I was very happy to see you at the meeting at the Vice President's office the other day. That leadership is very much needed, and then the international community, be it the donors, be it the UN family, we can come in and help and complement what you are doing, or set examples that then can be scaled up and expanded. So I think this is something that needs us to work together closely.
Governor Hyacinth Alia thereafter leads the delegation to Ichwa IDP camp located along Joseph Sawantaka University, Makurdi, for an on-the-spot assessment of the living conditions of the displaced citizens of the state, where he again assures the people of his government's efforts to effect their safe return to their ancestral homes.
The United Nations, it's come to see how you, my people, are doing here, and I'm happy they've come, they have seen, and they also feel exactly what you're feeling.
Emmanuel Akula, Benue Television News, Makurdi.
The delegation from United Nations High Commission for Refugees has again visited factories under the Benue Investment and Property Company BIPC with a view to funding trainings for IDPs and refugees in the state. Correspondent Mai Shundam says the officials Thursday re-inspected the production activities at the water and bread factories. Here is her report.
These are two assistants from the High Commissioners from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, and the German Ambassador to Nigeria. They are here at Benue Investment and Property Company BIPC to see what the state has got in its latest efforts at production of goods and services through the company. After reassessing the factories, they will decide on how best to get the internally displaced persons, IDPs, and refugees to start participating in the state and the state-owned businesses for sustainable livelihood. Shortly after conducting the visitors around the water and bread factories, Managing Director BIPC Dr. Raymond Asimakaha announces that the UNHCR has agreed to partner BIPC for training of over 500,000 IDPs and refugees in Benue with a total sum of $5 million.
It's better for us to do what to reintegrate them back to business instead of every month or every year they are coming to give them some international fund or support. So if you go inside, you see that some of them are already in the business. Some of them they are doing the bakery. Some of them they're already knowing how to package the water, produce the water, and that's one of the things. So we have given the proof of concept now to the UNHCR that we are ready to partner with them to bring those people or reintroduce them or integrate them back to the business model. For some of them that they are also farmers, we want to, for them to go back to farming and we will take their produce.
Recall that on July 11, 2024, the UNHCR delegation led by Ajun Jain were at BIPC headquarters in Makurdi to have an interface with the management of the company to help provide sustainable means of livelihood for IDPs, and a memorandum of understanding was to be signed a month later. Mai Shundam, Benue Television News, Makurdi.
Governor Hyacinth Alia, as the leader of the All Progressives Congress APC in Benue State, has charged members of the party in the state to play by the rules in their conduct in the forthcoming local government elections in the state. Governor Alia's charge came Thursday after the Benue APC State Executive Committee meeting held at Government House in Makurdi, and correspondent Emmanuel Akula brings us the details of this report.
Ahead of the 2024 local government elections in Benue State, political parties and politicians are making arrangements to participate in their exercise. The ruling party in Benue State, the APC, which has Governor Hyacinth Alia as its leader in the state, has inaugurated committees to coordinate members for the elections with a charge to conduct credible primaries and be fair in their dealings. Governor Alia, who chairs this set meeting of the party, says he is championing exemplary leadership in the state and so tasked members of his party to be orderly as they take part in the local council elections. He affirms the party has set machinery in place to enable members' participation, assuring that his administration remains committed to providing dividends of democracy to the Benue people.
We made the membership to understand that it's very important for all of us to keep to the decorum and to know that everybody in the state is looking up to us, and not just as a party, but very responsible government that hopes to let the common masses enjoy the benefits of democracy.
Acting chairman of the APC in Benue State, Benjamin Omakono, reveals that the SEC approves direct primary mode for the nomination of candidates, announcing the immediate commencement of sale of nomination and expression of interest forms.
The main agenda of the meeting was setting an agenda for the forthcoming local government election. The SEC has adopted the timetable of the party to participate in the forthcoming Benue State local government election.
Majority Leader of the Benue State House of Assembly, Sate Tise, who reviews membership of the meeting, affirms that his forms current for the resolutions reached in the interest of members and the Benue people.
We needed just to test, and we had more than what was the quorum. It was well attended by former members of the House of Reps, serving members of the House of Reps. The executive governor, who is the chairman, was there himself, and all of us, principal officers, past and present in the assembly.
The electoral empire in the state, the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission (BSEC), has slated October 5 for the conduct of the 2024 local council elections in the state. Emmanuel Akula, Benue Television News, Makudi.
Well, the federal government of Nigeria commissioned a 40 kWp solar hybrid mini-grid in Rafin Zurufi Community, Gwagwalada Area Council within the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on Saturday. This initiative executed through the Rural Electrification Agency under the Rural Electrification Funds Call 2 program aims to provide clean, affordable and reliable electricity to undeserved communities in Nigeria. The Minister of State for the Federal Capital Territory, Dr. Mariwa Mahmood, represented by Special Advisor Michael Bawa, underscored the project's potential to drive socio-economic transformation in Rafin Zurufi. She emphasized the importance of reasonable tariffs for the sustainability of the solar power project in Rafin Zurufi community. According to the ED, providing absolutely free electricity would lead to the collapse of the project as it will be unsustainable. Instead, the agency plans to establish a rural electrification cooperative society comprising indigenes of the community to oversee the project's maintenance and ensure its longevity. The community leader Itsu of Rafin Zurufi, Yunusa Musa, expressed his satisfaction with the project, acknowledging the federal government's commitment to rural development. We'll now take a break. When we come back, international news. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We are still live on Benue Television News at 7. We'll now move on to the international scene where 3 Zimbabwean activists who were arrested in dramatic fashion after being forced off an airplane last month have been denied bail on the eve of a high-profile international summit in the country. Robson Chere, Namatai Kwekweza, and Samuel Gwenzi have been charged with disorderly conduct for allegedly protesting outside a court in June about the arrest of dozens of opposition supporters. The magistrate ruled they were likely to abscond, could commit other offences, and cause public despondency, according to Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights, ZLHR. A lawyer representing the trio says they were held for hours without access to a legal representative and tortured soon after their arrest. The three had been heading to Zimbabwean resort town of Victoria Falls to attend a conference when they were hauled off their domestic flight. Mr. Cherry, the leader of a teachers' union, had blood-stained clothes and limped in pain during his first court appearance earlier this month. Women rights advocate Ms. Kwekweza says she was not even in the country when the alleged offense occurred. Her lawyer told an earlier hearing that she had a boot shoved in her mouth during her interrogation. A lawyer for Mr. Gwenzi, a local counselor and human rights activist, had also described how his client's interrogators had threatened to harm his family. UN-appointed human rights experts have called for the group to be released immediately and have all charges against them dropped. Meanwhile, doctors in India have begun a national strike, escalating the protest against the rape and murder of a female colleague in the West Bengal city of Kolkata. The Indian Medical Association, IMA, the country's largest grouping of doctors, said all non-essential hospital services would be shut down across the country on Saturday. The IMA described last week's killing as a crime of barbaric scale due to the lack of safe spaces for women and asked for the country's support in its struggle for justice. Protests against the attack and calling for the better protection of women have intensified in recent days after a mob vandalized the hospital where it happened. In a statement, the MIA said emergency and casualty services would continue to run and that the strike would last for 24 hours. The IMA also issued a list of demands including the strengthening of the law to better protect medical staff against violence, increasing the level of security at hospitals, and the creation of safe spaces for rest. It called for a meticulous and professional investigation into the killing and the prosecution of those involved in vandalizing, as well as compensation for the woman's family. However, a volunteer who worked at the hospital has been arrested in connection with the crime. Well, around 125 firefighters are tackling a blaze of Somerset House in central London. Videos posted on social media show grey smoke billowing into the air from the landmark building over the River Thames and nearby Waterloo Bridge. The director of Somerset House Trust said the fire broke out in the west wing of the building, and there are no artworks in that area. There are no reported injuries, and the cause of the fire, which was first reported around midday, is not yet known. London Fire Brigade LFB said the entire site at Somerset House has been closed to the public whilst the blaze is dealt with. As a result of the fire, London Battle and other events for the day will not take place. Staff and visitors to the gallery are standing outside, and clouds of grey smoke can be seen several streets away. Due to heavy smoke, the London Ambulance Service has asked people to avoid the area and told local businesses to keep windows and doors shut. The Met Police said officers were called at 12:25 and attended along with LFB firefighters. Well, that brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, let's take another look at the top stories. The headlines we saw that Governor Ralia directs security agencies to ensure the safe release of kidnapped medical doctors. We also saw that FG unveiled solar project in FCT community. Now the internationals and Indian doctors on strike over rape and murder of colleague. Well, that was Benue Television News at 7. Thanks for watching. I am Susan Archin. Good evening.